Welcome, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. My name is Stephanie Wolf, and I am the Membership Relations Coordinator at Population Connection. It's great to see so many dedicated members interested in learning more about leaving a lasting legacy with Population Connection. We are a membership-based organization, so I really mean it when I say we could not do this important work without your support. Now, today we have a few speakers joining us. I will first introduce my Population Connection colleagues. We are joined by our Senior Vice President for Advancement, Shauna Scherer. Shauna is a certified fundraising executive and oversees all fundraising initiatives for our organization. In addition, we have Victoria Wright, our Director of Planned Giving. Tori works with our donors in support of our programs to help ensure a sustainable future for all. If you have questions you'd like to ask our speakers, please drop them in the Q&A box that is found at the bottom of your screen. We'll do our very best to get those answered during the Q&A session. And then for any questions we don't have time to answer live, we will provide written answers along with a recording of this presentation, the presentation slides, and access to the chat box discussion. Now that is it for me. So I will go ahead and send it over to you, Shauna, to introduce the rest of our speakers.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It is my pleasure to introduce Julian and Kathy Donahue. They've been members of Population Connection since 1974, and they're members of our ZPG Society. They have been so kind as to include Population Connection in their trust, as well as to have set up a charitable gift annuity with us. Julian is a lepidopterist by trade, and his experience working in the field of entomology allowed him to witness firsthand how populations left unchecked can outstrip their resources. He and Kathy met at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, where they both began working in 1970. They were married a year and a half later. Julian was the curator of moths and butterflies at the Natural History Museum for 23 years. Kathy was the museum librarian for 17 years before going to UCLA, where she was the head of the History and Special Collections Division of the Louise M. Darling Biomedical Library. She retired in 2008. They traveled the world together on museum field trips and natural history tours. Since retirement, the tempo of their foreign travel has increased, mostly using the quest to see new birds as an excuse. They have been to every continent. So without further ado, I'd like to turn the stage over to Julian and Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing a little bit about your story, your concern for population stabilization, and your decision to include us in your estate plans. So you've been committed to this cause since our earliest years. I'd like to know what drives you to continue your involvement. You're muted.
If you want to hear me, I have to unmute. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Shauna.
Oh, thank you.
So you want to know how I got involved. You said I was an entomologist, and of course, dealing with insects, I got to see how rapidly populations can increase and how they can crash and how they can have either a beneficial or a devastating impact on the environment. And humans do the same thing, but just on a longer time scale. So I was able to see the effects of overpopulation, partly because by the time I turned 22, I'd been around the world twice. My father was working in agriculture during the Green Revolution in India, and I was fortunate to live over there twice before I graduated from college. You mentioned that Kathy and I met in 1970. A year and a half later, we were married. It turns out that 1974, the year that I joined the zero population growth at the time, was a rather significant year because I'd been impressed by the writings of Paul Ehrlich, one of my colleagues, who actually was a specialist in butterfly biology, and this book on the population bomb. In 1974, Kathy and I had been married 2 years. We decided, having looked at the world, especially through my lens, having traveled so much, we decided that we did not want to contribute anymore to the human populations on Earth. And there were other reasons too, but it worked out that both of us wanted to have a personally active lifestyle and not have any children. later on, in fact, rather recently, a friend of mine pointed out to me that because of that, Kathy and I have a zero carbon legacy that we're leaving behind. No children, grandchildren, or great grandchildren to consume natural resources and create carbon. But in 1974, when I joined Zero Population Growth, now Population Connection, because we had decided not to have children, I had a vasectomy, and we also bought our first home. And that was our home in Los Angeles for 41 years. And we sold it in 2015. And because we, Los Angeles is a real estate heaven if you own property long enough. We sold the property. We had a huge capital gain. And we thought, well, let's reduce our taxes and benefit some of our favorite charities. And I looked around and contacted Shauna Scherer, and because I'd been a member of Population Connection for so long, we set up a charitable gift annuity, which was very significantly lowered our tax bite for that year. And the gift annuity provides income. Much of it is tax-free ever since. So that's sort of the long story about how we got here.
I love it. Well, that wasn't long at all. And Julian, it's also my understanding that you have also included Population Connection in your trust.
That's absolutely true. Our actually three favorite environmental organizations are the beneficiaries of 100% of our trust.
That's so wonderful. That's very generous of you, and just a great example for us all, I think, to include the nonprofits that we really care about in our estate plans, since we all have an estate, right?
So actually, also, as you know, we make an annual donation to Population Connection, and for the first time this year, we did it through. By making the donation through our IRA.
Yes.
And previously we had used donations of stock that had appreciated in value. So the other folks on your panel there can talk about the various benefits of that, but it's always worked out very well for us.
I just love showcasing you both, because you really have given to our organization in almost every possible way. Not just through your trust, through your charitable gift annuity, by stock, through it with your IRA QCD. You're members of our leadership circle, so you're making a monthly donation. And you volunteer your time, not just today, which we appreciate so much, but you've gone out at Earth Day to distribute materials, and I'm sure you've done much more before that. So we just appreciate you so much, and we're so lucky and fortunate to count you among our supporters. Let's see, is there anything else that you want to share before we turn it over to Julie?
I was just going to say that for me, I consider, if you were to look at our donations, our major donations, as a three-legged stool, that the Population Connection helps to stabilize the human population, which has such an impact on our environment, and the other two are directly saving the environment, what we hope, Nature Conservancy and that kind of thing. And I do contribute some money, to smaller amounts of money, just to organizations that directly benefit other species, because I think that's important that they be saved. But you know, those are sort of yearly, monthly donations to make sure that, you know, you have a whole body approach to saving the planet.
I love that. I love that strategy, the three-legged stool. So you've got population, you've got the environment, and then I assume you have reproductive health care, maybe. Is that your third?
We'll give them money, I mean, for sure. We're completely pro-choice.
And also species protections.
Yes.
Certain species needs special protection, I think was one of the legs of the stool that you were talking about.
I understand.
Yeah, the Rainforest Trust.
Maybe it's a four.
Oh, got it.
Maybe it's a 4 leg.
Yeah,
It's a very sturdy stool.
reproductive choice and support is something we do support for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about the plans that you have made and your wonderful support. We just really appreciate you, as I mentioned. And now I'd like to turn it over to Julie Schuldner. I will introduce her first. She is a senior consultant with Sharp Group. In this role, she advises Population Connection on plan giving topics. Throughout her career, Julie has immersed herself in volunteering, teaching, and community outreach for nonprofits. Julie has worked with national health research organizations, other national environmental organizations, and many smaller nonprofits as well. We're pleased to have her join us today to share some insights into leaving a legacy for Population Connection. Thanks again, Julian and Kathy.
Thanks so much, Shauna. I appreciate the introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to spend a little time this afternoon with everybody. Thanks also to the Donahues. It's so inspirational hearing about generosity firsthand, and I really appreciate your sharing your story. I think it's interesting, Julian, that you referred to not having a carbon legacy, because the topic of my section of the presentation is about how to create your legacy. So there are legacies that we can certainly create through charitable giving, which you have certainly done. I think that creating your legacy is such an exciting concept because it really allows us to imagine the mark that we can leave on society. How can we take care of those we love? How can we affect change well into the future? How do we want to be remembered? What do we want really the last word of our story to be? And one way we can do that is by planning ahead and outlining our wishes through estate planning. So this means making decisions now about what will happen with your assets once you've passed. And this can also include supporting our charitable interests through a future gift. Next slide. Thank you. So many of you have heard the term planned gift, but for those of you who aren't familiar, a planned gift is basically a gift that requires planning. So unlike taking your checkbook out and writing a check, a gift that is planned that you're making to a charitable organization requires forethought, and careful consideration. In some cases, individuals may want to consult an attorney or financial advisor, but many of these gifts can be made on your own. Most of these gifts are established now, but they're distributed in the future, and they can really have a significant impact on the work that a charity does. These gifts may also be known as deferred gifts or legacy gifts, so there's different terminology that different organizations use to discuss them. Many of these gifts are donated through a will or through a trust, as the Donahues have made, and they are part of your overall estate plan. The great news is that they can be funded with a variety of assets. So you can fund them with cash, appreciated stock, or other equities. Personal property is also an interesting way to fund a gift. Some choose to use a collection of some sort or artwork, so different types of personal property, and then of course real estate. These gifts can also be unrestricted, so you can allow the organization to decide the best use of your gift, or you can direct it to a specific program or specific fund if you have something that you're personally passionate about. Finally, some choose to make gifts in honor or in memory of a loved one, which is a nice option. No matter, though, the size of your estate, a gift of any size can make an impact. Next slide. So having an estate plan or a plan is essential to protect your assets and your loved ones. Essentially, the plan lays out what you'd like to do with all of your assets. So it defines your wishes for who receives what, whether it's an heir or another loved one or a charitable organization. And the pre-planning allows you to prevent these decisions from being made by the government. The plan also protects the people and the causes that you care about. So again, it provides for your spouse, your children, other heirs or loved ones, and it also supports your favorite charities beyond your lifetime. This definitely gives you a lot of security and peace of mind. It certainly prevents an undue burden on your family, and so that they know that your decisions and your wishes are being followed, and they're not burdened with having to make these decisions in your absence. And so it's important that after spending a lifetime working to accumulate our assets, we want to make sure that they're gifted to those that we choose for them to receive. This includes your loved ones and other charitable interests. So it really ensures a smooth transfer of your assets. Next. So interestingly, despite the importance of having an estate plan and having a plan for your assets, a lot of Americans don't have a plan, and procrastination, believe it or not, is the #1 reason. Other reasons include the idea that you don't have enough assets. And so some people think, well, I only have one piece of real estate, or I don't have appreciated stock, or I don't have an IRA. We all have assets that need to be planned for our future. So it's important that everybody do estate planning. Others don't know how, and they're overwhelmed by the fact that, where do I start? And later on in the presentation, we'll talk about free will, which is a great way to begin your estate planning. Again, others feel like it's too expensive, and free will again is a solution to get started. So lots of reasons why Americans don't engage in estate planning, but I urge everybody to take a look and make those decisions now. It's certainly important to make those plans so that you make your wishes known to your loved ones. Next slide. So what can your legacy gift do? It really makes a profound statement of support that says, I want to provide for a cause that matters the most to me, like population connection, like some of the other causes that the Donahues mentioned. It honors the values that guided their life. These charities were certainly important to them during their lifetime. They spent a lot of time, lent their talents to these organizations, and so now they are making these planned gifts to continue those values that have guided their life. And it also creates a charitable legacy that will endure for generations. This is really the ultimate gift a donor can make, and it helps to ensure that an organization can continue to do their good work. Many individuals who do commit a planned gift to Population Connection are recognized in the ZPG Society or in the quarterly magazine. Next. So let's talk a little bit about what types of planned gifts that you can make. The most common planned gift is a bequest, and this is a gift made through your will. It's where you allocate a portion of your estate to a nonprofit, and there's 4 different ways that you can make a bequest. So the first is a percentage of your total assets or estate, and so that's anywhere from 1 to 100%. You can also commit the remaining value of your estates after all other allocations have been made. So that's called a residuary bequest. Third, it can be a specific amount. So you can say, I'm giving $100,000 of my estate to a particular charity. You can commit a piece of real estate, or it can be personal property, as I said, a collection or artwork or a vehicle. And then finally, we have what's called a contingency beneficiary. So this is when you make a gift to a particular person, and either they're unable or disinterested in receiving that bequest. And so a charitable organization would be the contingency, the secondary beneficiary. I urge you to look at the sample bequest language on the Population Connection website, and it's under the Giving for the Future tab. And so that will help you when you're having discussions with an attorney or a financial advisor, how exactly to write your bequest language. Next slide. So one of the nice things about a bequest are they're very easy to establish and they're revocable. So that means they can be changed at any time. These are great for individuals who want to make an enduring impact. The Donahues had shared that they give an annual gift to Population Connection, but their plan gift allows them to make a long-term impact. And so that's a great benefit. It's also nice for people who want to maintain control of their assets during their lifetime. Some individuals have personal concerns. They don't feel comfortable making a gift during their lifetime. They want to maintain control of the assets that they have accumulated. And so making a gift through a bequest allows them to do this. And then finally, it really gives you a peace of mind that your wishes are being made known. You are making a gift to a charitable organization and making your legacy, continuing it for that long-term impact. Next slide. So another way to make a planned gift on a deferred basis is through a beneficiary designation. And these are for additional assets that are not included in your will, so they are non-probate assets. Examples could be a retirement account like an IRA, 401k, 403b for some of our educators. We also have bank and brokerage accounts, so those are also referred to as transfer on death accounts. We have donor advised fund balances. We're seeing more interest in making gifts through a donor advised fund. And there's also a way to make that long-term impact by designating a charitable organization as a beneficiary of the remainder of that fund. And then finally, we have life insurance policies. I will note, though, that the financial organizations do not have an obligation to inform a charity of this designation. So if this is what you choose, how you choose to make a planned gift, I urge you to let the charity know so that they can receive that gift immediately. These are also easily established. Just go online and download a form. You can designate the charitable beneficiary on this form. It is through a percentage. So again, 1 to 100%. And like a bequest, it is also revocable. And then finally, this is great for people who are not interested in changing their will, but they do have that interest in making that charitable legacy gift. It also provides for certain tax advantages. When we provide that beneficiary designation, the charity does not pay any taxes on that. Whereas if you did leave this to an heir, they would be required to pay taxes. So it's nice if you'd have both of those interests to leave some other sort of gift to an heir. And then, as I said, they're easy to set up and establish. Next slide. So not going to go into great detail, but there are other planned gifts that do provide payments for life. These types of planned gifts, we see a nonprofit receive an irrevocable gift, and they make payments to the donor or donors for the rest of their life or lives. An example of this is the charitable gift annuity, a charitable remainder annuity trust, or a charitable remainder unit trust. And these are also referred to as life income gifts. They require a long relationship between the donor and the nonprofit organization. And again, the nonprofit receives a large donation, they invest the funds, and then they pay an income to a donor. Alternatively, again, we have donors who don't want to give up their assets completely when making a gift. And so there's a couple ways for them to make a gift as well. This would be through a charitable lead trust or a retained life estate. As these are more complex gifts, I would invite you to reach out to Population Connection if you are interested in learning more about them. Next slide. So to help you begin with your planned gift and to not fall in that category of the procrastinator, Population Connection has partnered with Free Will to offer a free online will writing tool. And this is a great way to get a jump start on your estate planning. There's no cost to you. You can do it from the comfort of your home, right on your computer. It's quick, it's easy, it takes up to a half hour to complete, and it creates a legal will customized to your wishes. It's a great way to jumpstart the process and really ensure that your wishes are carried out. Again, if you do have a more complex estate, you can certainly, through this tool, be paired with an attorney just for something that's a little more challenging. Next slide. Okay, I think I'm tossing it back to you, Shauna, right?
Actually, over to me.
Okay, Tori.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you, Julian and Kathy, for joining us. That was wonderful, both of you. Shauna, do you have anything you'd like to add before we move on?
No, not at this time.
Awesome, great. So I do just want to mention that if you include population connection in your will, please let us know. I know a couple of folks have touched on this so far, but informing us of your intention allows us to ensure that your gift is used according to your wishes. It helps encourage others to follow your example, and it also lets us express our gratitude during your lifetime by recognizing you as a member of our ZPG Society. And as others have mentioned, this is our legacy society that celebrates folks that have included population connection in their estate plans. So please let us know of your intentions, and we will be sure to reach out. Okay, so it looks like we do have a few minutes left, so we're going to move on to the Q&A. Many of you submitted questions, but please feel free to use the chat if you have any additional questions or follow-up. Unfortunately, we might not get to them all today. So if we don't answer your question, please email us at engage@populationconnection.org, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so let's see. The first question here is actually going to be back to Julie. And it is, how often should we update our will or other estate plans?
That's a great question, thanks. So it's generally recommended that we review and update your will or your estate plans about every 3 to 5 years, but there's also certain life events that may necessitate a more frequent update. And so the birth or the adoption of children, changes in your financial status. So if you inherited a large sum of money, started a new business, acquired substantial assets, that may necessitate an update to your estate plans. Relocation, if you move to a different state or country, you may need to review them just to ensure they comply with the legal requirements of that location. If you have a change in health, if your health deteriorates, if it improves significantly, that's another reason. The death of a beneficiary or your executor, that may require you to update your estate. Changes in tax laws. We are going to see the estate tax sunset in 2025. And so that may necessitate people taking another look in order to optimize tax efficiency through their estate planning. So it's crucial to keep your plans up to date, just to avoid any potential conflicts, and just make sure, again, that your assets are distributed according to your wishes.
Great, thank you. So getting a little more in the weeds, could you talk more about the difference between probate assets and non-probate assets?
Sure. So basically, the will provides instructions and it needs to go through probate. And so we have individuals who are not interested in that for a number of reasons. And so that's why we have some donors who form a trust where a trustee is assigned to distribute their assets. It does not go through probate. But there are a bunch of other reasons why individuals would like to avoid it. So there are advantages of probate. One of them is oversight of the court. So it does provide a structured legal process. That's the reason for it. It's supervised by the court. And so it certainly helps prevent any disputes among heirs, and again, ensures that the deceased, their wishes are carried out. There's also a creditor notification piece to it. And so creditors are notified and it gives them an opportunity to make claims against the estate. It also provides for a clear title transfer and then also legal protection. Some of the disadvantages of probate are it's a high cost, and so that may dissuade people. It's also time consuming. Pre-COVID, we were looking at about 18 months, and now we're at about 3 years. And so that could be a reason why people want to avoid it. There's also a loss of privacy. So probate proceedings are typically public record, and so details about the deceased's assets, their debts, their beneficiaries are all made public. And so that's also a leading reason why people want to avoid it.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. Okay, so we're going to take one of the questions from the chat. Could you actually just explain a little bit more about charitable gift annuities and the benefits?
Sure. So a charitable gift annuity is an agreement between the donor and the organization, and they upfront are making a gift to the organization, and then in return, based on their age, they are receiving income for life. So it can either be for one or more beneficiaries. And this is a nice option for individuals who are still interested in that income. And I think depending on the organization, and Shauna, you can certainly jump in here, those checks are distributed either, I guess, quarterly or biannually or annually. So again, it's a benefit for people who want to make a gift, but also have a need for that income.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And actually, I think we're going to move on to a question for the Donahues, if that's okay with you, Julian and Kathy. So how do you envision your planned gift impacting Population's Connection mission long-term? So how exactly did you arrive at the decision that a planned gift was best for you?
Feel free.
I've been handed the microphone. We always make our donations to charities without conditions and without specifying any particular fund or program or project, because Kathy and I have both worked in the public sector for a long time, and we know how restrictive designations can be and how expensive it is just to operate a charity or an organization. So all of our gifts are unrestricted, so that the organization, we trust them to use the money where it's most needed and can be most useful. And deciding on a planned gift was, as I mentioned before, we had this huge capital gain from selling our property in Los Angeles, a house we'd owned for 41 years. So it was a tax. The main two things: one, it was a big savings in taxes, and two, we were benefiting an organization that we'd been supporting a good part of my life and our lives, and so that's and also it provides. When I discovered the charitable gift annuity and start plunging into those, it provides an insured, guaranteed income as long as I'm alive, and I can't remember whether it's a dual or you can have it with just for yourself or for yourself and a survivor. Anyway, it's lifetime income, and much of it is tax free. So it's just a great investment, is what it is.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if this was covered, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to mention that you also receive a charitable tax deduction in the year that you make your gift in terms of creating a charitable gift annuity. And that reflects the amount that should ultimately go to fund Population Connection's mission.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're gonna actually run it back to Julie for this next one. So can a stock be a planned gift? And would you put that in a will, or is there another way to do that?
So the interesting thing about planned gifts, in the past, they were really limited to deferred gifts. So we looked at a planned gift as something that an organization received through someone's estate. But now a planned gift also encompasses a current gift. So again, remember, this is a gift that requires planning. So it can be a gift of appreciated stock, or it can be a qualified charitable distribution. And these gifts are planned but they are made currently to an organization and therefore have that current impact. So yes, you can certainly leave a gift of stock through your estate, but I would definitely speak to a financial advisor and see if there's a benefit to make that gift now. And if you have appreciated stock, take a look at gifting that to a charitable organization, and it would also allow you to avoid that capital gain. So that's a nice benefit if you're looking for a tax advantage.
Yes, and if you are looking to give a gift of stock, please reach out and we can definitely help you out with that as well. Okay, so next I think we have another one for Julie. Why is it better to leave your retirement account to a nonprofit as opposed to a loved one? Can you get a little bit more into the weeds on that?
Yeah. So when you put money in your retirement account, it's pre-tax. And so at some point you need to pay taxes on that money that you've earned and put into your retirement account. So you're taxed when it's taken out of the account. So if you are over 73 years of age, you have that required minimum distribution. And if you have, if you've experienced that, then you know that you are paying a tax on that. So the opportunity to avoid that tax is either to make a qualified charitable distribution. So you're designating money from your IRA, and it goes directly from the account to a charity. So that's called a qualified charitable distribution, and you are not paying taxes on it, and the charity is not paying taxes on it. The alternative is to make the charity the beneficiary of your retirement account. And so again, if they are made the beneficiary, they are not paying taxes on it because they are a tax-exempt organization. But if you did gift that to an heir, they would have to pay taxes on it because, again, somebody's paying taxes on it when the money comes out of the account. So as an alternative, we say if you do have multiple gifts and you want to include your heirs, think about making the charity the beneficiary of the retirement account and gifting your heirs something else.
Great, thank you. Thank you for explaining that in more detail. Okay, I think this next question we're actually running over to Shauna. Do I have to include PopCon in my will if I use the free will service?
No, you do not. You can use the free will service to create your will. You do not have to include any charitable beneficiaries. You can use the service regardless. Of course, we do hope that you include Population Connection and strongly encourage you, but you're welcome to use our link to create your will for free online. And I believe once you do that, you also have the option to make any changes through the free will website in the future. So maybe you'll make a decision to include us in the future.
And we do have some awesome resources at Free Will as well. If you need help just walking through the process, or you want more of a specific tutorial on how to use the website, it's a great resource, and they have plenty of other ways of helping you out if you need anything. So please reach out to us on that as well. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us for the presentation today and for your continued support. If you'd like more information, you can go to populationconnection.org/legacy. And you can, again, create a free will at freewill.com/populationconnection. My contact information, actually, Stephanie, do you want to put that last slide back up so people can see the contact information on there? Perfect. Thank you. My contact information is on the screen right here. So please reach out if you have any questions or would like to talk about how a plan gift can support our work. We would love to hear from you. So thank you again to Julie and to Julian and Kathy. We're truly so grateful to you for all of your support. And thank you everyone for joining us.